new president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was sworn in as president in his inaugural speech. Subsidy era, the government of subsidy removal, as it is by going through a whole lot of these Nigerians who are already faced, has been removed. Now, again, I'm not going to be having this conversation alone. A better person to discuss oil sector to the extent the energy sector is concerned.
So much for all you are doing, and my players who are listening to us to this program, it promises to be very exciting.
We're very exciting, and sidelines listening to us. We all agree from the sidelines. Of course, they are listening to us. They are also following the show. But today, if you're wondering why I decided to just have Adeola Yusuf join me in the studio, today as the only analyst on the show, let me give you a little bit of his profile so you understand who exactly we are talking about. It's important that we understand that whatever we are going to be saying today as far as the energy sector is concerned is coming from the mouth of someone that should know, and not just should know, that knows the sector very well. He's an investigative journalist of repute, and of course he has been at the global stage winning a lot of awards, fellowships and bursaries as far as energy journalism is concerned. He is the winner of the African Investigative Journalist Conference AIJC Bursary Award in Johannesburg, South Africa in the year 2016. He was in Nairobi, Kenya in 2017 as a winner of the Tax Justice Network Africa Bursary on Tax Evasion and Illicit Finance Reporting in Africa. Yusuf is also a two-time winner of the Thomas Reuters Foundation Scheme on Illicit Trade and Finance Reporting in Africa that was held in Kampala, Uganda in 2015 and 2016. He also won the 2021 Best Story category of the Chevron Pan-Atlantic University Awards, Awares Alumni Awards. Of course, the Nigerian Media Merit Award is a familiar talk for him. He already has about 10 nominations to his name. As far as the Nigerian Media Merit Awards is concerned, as Best Journalist, Oil and Gas Energy categories, and he was able to win 3 out of those 10 nominations in the year 2015, 2017, and 2019. And of course, in the line of duty as a journalist, he's traveled to so many of the major cities of the world for conferences, seminars, and workshops. He was in London, United Kingdom, for the Gulf of Guinea conference in 2011. He has, on many occasions, traveled to Houston, Texas, the acclaimed oil and gas capital of the world, for Offshore Technology Conference, OTC. He also attended a conference of the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, amongst others. So, if I say I should continue to read his profile, maybe we'll not have any other thing to say on the show. But I think that's enough to set the tone for who exactly Adeola Yusuf is as far as energy journalism is concerned in Nigeria. Again, Adeola Yusuf, we're going to make the show interactive, definitely. But, the first part of the show would be both of us dissecting the energy sector. We're going to look at the oil and gas sector, and then, of course, look at the power sector. The power situation is also one issue that is affecting almost every Nigerian out there. So we're going to look at, those two major sectors as far as the energy sector is concerned. Of course, the focus will be the issue of subsidy removal, the way it was removed. There have been conversations about the timing, how it was removed, whether it could have been done better. We're also going to be looking at the current state of our refineries. What exactly is going on with our refineries? What is the current situation of those 4 refineries that we have in the country? We are going to ask questions, why is it not working? There have been several timelines. What are the capacity? What exactly is the capacity of the refinery? Should they be working? And what exactly is going on with them? We're also going to talk about the importance of refining locally. Juxtapose that against the current situation of importation of PMS, diesel, kerosene, and other products that ordinarily should come from crude, which is God-given, which is here, right here in Nigeria. And then we're going to do a lot of figures so that Nigerians understand the figures behind the issue of subsidy removal, maintenance of our refineries, what exactly it costs to build a refinery, what is a modular refinery, because there's so much talk about modular refineries. How much would it cost to build a modular refinery? What capacity does a modular refinery have? The average modular refinery, what amount of crude can it refine? And then we're also going to talk about this issue of palliatives to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. of course, the cash transfer policy, the other policies of government as far as subsidy is concerned. Now that the governors are in the fray, they are also talking about taking charge of the cash distribution as announced by government. Again, what the governors have simply done is to ridicule the National Social Register, in operations in the last administration. So we're also going to look at that, and then, of course, end by talking about the power sector. Recently there was a bill, which now empowers states to generate, transmit, and distribute electricity. We're going to be looking at that with what exists currently. Are we bound for legal tussle with distribution companies, the generation companies? How do we ensure, self-sufficiency as far as generation, transmission, and distribution is concerned? So those are going to be the issues we're going to be looking at on the show today. Well, we're already streaming the show live, so you can join us live. As we go on this conversation. Yes, you can join us on Facebook Live, Mainland FM 98.3, or basically join us on YouTube, Mainland 98.3 FM. Yes, Facebook, Mainland FM 98.3, and then on YouTube, Mainland 98.3 FM. Now, Adela, so let's go straight to business. Like I said, don't worry. You can drop all your comments, as we go on this conversation this evening. Definitely, I'll take all the comments on our social media platform. I'm going to read it out when we open the phone lines to also take your calls. Yes, we are going to take calls, enough calls today as far as this issue is concerned. But let's just get ourselves educated first. Adiola Yusuf, subsidy is gone. I was going to start this show by asking you whether it was right or wrong to remove subsidy from the price of PMS. But one thing came to my mind. That would amount to trying to flog a dead horse because subsidy is gone, whether we like it or not. So I think it makes a lot of sense to just move on. Now, on the first day, his inaugural speech, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu removed subsidy. He announced it. There are people who have said that, look, it was not even part of the inaugural speech. And ever since, Nigerians have been thrown into what I can call untold hardship. The reality of the price of PMS now is having serious consequences on the finances, the businesses of people, the living standards of ordinary Nigerians. So I want to start by asking you, do you think that, look, removal of subsidy could have been done better? I'm not saying should it go or not. I'm saying the way it was removed, could it have been removed better than the way President Bola Ahmed Tinubu removed subsidy?
Thank you very much, Fuhad. Again, I greet all Nigerians listening to us. Let me quickly raise the caveat here. At some point when you with your introductory, remarks, I became somewhat shy. Thankful. And I want to as well thank the likes of Nuruddin,
Joseph Folorunsho,
for giving me the opportunity, to sit
take the table
all alone. It wouldn't mean that I have anything to say better than any one of them. It's just that it just gave me that privilege to be here. And then it's important that I quickly say this before I'm going into the question that you asked me. It's political roundtable that we have. And fact we need to establish is that anyone listening to us, anyone at all, is either the person, whether the person is, batified,
obedient
or articulated, all of us, there is no filling station or different price tag for us at filling stations. So this issue that you are talking about, concerns everybody. Even if you are sitting on the fence, there is no special filling station for those that are sitting on the fence. For fence sitters. So it's very, very important that we understand how very cardinal this issue is. Now to your question, if for those of us that have been following the sector, it made it exactly 30 years as struggled. Struggles have started by different governments, be it military or civilian, to remove subsidy. And
the battle to remove subsidy.
The battle to remove subsidy. Exactly 30 years. And fact of the matter is that all of them failed to do so. We have cases of, some president that's, announced the removal of subsidy at the beginning of their tenure. Okay, we have some that, announced the removal of subsidy at the middle of their tenure. We have some that remove subsidy at the tail end of their tenure. All of them failed. So it has become so clear that the only way subsidy can be removed is to just close your eyes and do it the first day.
Okay.
So and I'll quickly give reasons. It is established that subsidy is a multi-trillion business. So some people are benefiting heavily, and those people will not be, if you like, they call them cabal. In some cases, they call them cartel. We have had, though this is at the in front of before a court of competent jurisdiction. Yes. We've had series of ministers of petroleum resources, standing trials. We've had numbers of GMD of NNPC facing trials. So it is established that there is a lot of problem financially, or if you like, that has to do with corruption in the sector. So what the president has done by announcing on the first day, cannot be faulted. But what we all can fault is that experience has shown, events have shown that the president just announced it as if he was just making a pronouncement at a political rally. He has obviously shown that there is no proper, thought out, solutions or measures. Plans for this. So going back and forth about palliative, this is the president got elected in February, for crying out loud.
February this year.
So for them to still be going back and forth on what to do after removing fuel subsidy, it has shown clearly that they are not prepared. So that he has removed it on the first day, announced that removal on the first day is not something so terrible. But what is so terrible and that has been affecting every Nigerian now is that he has shown clearly that the president has no concrete plan on what to do
for subsidy removal.
Subsidy removal.
So if I get you correctly, what you're saying is that look, there was nothing wrong in taking that bold step of removing subsidy on the first day of his government, but you're wondering why it's showing clearly that there were no plans really on what to do after removing subsidy, especially when it comes to what to do to cushion the effect of subsidy removal. Now, we're still going to come back to that on what the government have been announcing. The issue of cash transfer, the labor is still locked down somewhere with government on negotiations of increasing minimum wage and salaries. The governors have also come into the picture. There's not enough money to a great extent, again, if you look at where we're coming from, for these governors to share and distribute amongst themselves. But let's go straight to the current state of our refineries. Before the show, I was asking you, we have 4 refineries. And I'm sure you visited all the 4 refineries. You've seen them, what we can call face-to-face. You visited, stepped into those facilities. What would you say is the current state of these 4 refineries in Nigeria, and where are they located?
Okay, thank you very much. Before going into that, it's important that I say this as well. Anytime we talk about fuel subsidy, be it removal or keeping it, there are 4 perspectives to it.
All right,
and I believe a lot of people listening to us may belong to one or the 4 perspectives. The first one is the political perspective.
Okay.
Politicians, thinking that they can do anything with subsidy, and I'll explain that. Right. You will see that all the major presidential candidates in the last election talked about subsidy removal,
and they all agreed that it has to go.
And they all agreed that it has to go. So subsidy is something that whether you like it or not, if you are seeking political office, you must think about what to do with it. That's number one. And number 2, there is this socialist perspective to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so some Nigerians still believe, and you won't blame them, that because we are an oil producing country, if it is possible, we should be getting the refined product free free of charge.
If it is possible.
If it is possible. There are some people, they will tell you, but are we not an oil producing
nation?
country?
So what's the benefit?
What's the benefit? Why do we need to even be paying for fuel?
So that's the socialist perspective.
That's the socialist perspective. Then the third one is the legal perspective. And what those that belong to this will tell you is that the day that the former president Muhammad Buhari assented to the petroleum industrial PIA, he has criminalized continuous payment of subsidy. So a lawyer that understands the thing very well can go to court and challenge any president for paying subsidy because he has been outlawed by the Nigerian
since the PIA was signed into law.
So then the fourth one, which has started gaining ground, is the economics perspective. Okay, so the economists will believe that why will government continue to be wasting money? In fact, to them, they believe government has no business in any business. Then why should government continue to be wasting money on subsidy, particularly when that government cannot, fund that subsidy? Why should government go and borrow money to fund subsidy? Why should government keep mortgaging the future of Nigerians to do it? So those perspectives, whether we like it or not, those that are listening to us, we could, belong to either of the first perspective. But as we speak now, you could see that the economist perspective, has been able to gain ground with the removal of subsidy. Now to your question, we have said this several times that if subsidy is not removed, none of the refineries will work. And the present state of those refineries is that all of them combined with 445,000 capacity barrels daily capacity, none of them is producing 1 barrel as we speak.
Refining 1 barrel.
Refining 1 barrel as we speak.
And the 4 has a capacity of 445,000 barrels per day. 445,000
barrels. So an interesting or maybe disheartening perspective or dimension to this is that they are all paying overhead. People are collecting salary. The last time I was at Port Harcourt Refinery, around the Port Harcourt Refinery, first thing that amazed me, Fuhad, was, the ocean of cars.
The fleet of cars.
The fleet of cars. So, but I want to, I want Nigerians to really understand. That's why I call it the ocean of cars.
Packed
by
workers of
that refinery.
People working in that place.
Every day they drive and tell their families they are going to work. Going to work. They will get to work, park their cars. They will resume at a certain time, maybe 8 o'clock. Then by 4 o'clock, they will tell their co-workers, bye-bye, we'll see you tomorrow. At the end of every month, money
bogus salaries.
Bogus salaries. The last time we had of a billion naira being paid, as salaries and other costs for it. So it has been a situation that is so disheartening. All the 4 refineries as we speak are not working. Even though there have been different plans, different announcement of different contract to put them back to shape, but as we speak, because I have to just address the question the way you asked the question, as we speak, none of the refineries is working.
A follow-up question, can it work?
Okay, thank you very much.
We've established that they are not working.
They are not working.
But can they work?
Okay, so I asked that same question a few years ago when I had the privilege of sitting, face to face with one of the original asset manufacturers of those assets, refinery.
That built the refinery.
Company that built the Port Harcourt refinery.
And
the event was at the OTC in Houston. Okay, so when I put the question, I want to answer your question the way they answered me. Okay, they said the federal government during President Goodluck Jonathan approached them to come and try, their luck on the Port Harcourt refinery, but they returned that offer down.
The real manufacturers of the refinery.
The real manufacturers of the
Port Harcourt refinery.
Of the Port Harcourt refineries. And I asked why. The reason they gave was that immediately they completed those refineries, they told the government that at certain period there should be a turnaround maintenance on those assets. For Nigerians to understand us, clearly, it's like you have bought a car and you know that every 3 months or 6 months, depending on the usage or mileage of those cars, you want to service that, you want to maintain those cars. So they have left these refineries unattended to. Whereas multi-million. I think in 18 years from the figures available to us, 21 trillion naira has been spent in just 8 years. I mean 18 years.
18 years.
For turnaround maintenance of those refineries. Whereas it became so
over
clear,
21 trillion.
Over 21 trillion.
Naira.
And it became so clear from the answer, because I want to answer the way I got that answer, that the real turnaround maintenance was not done.
So we just been budgeting money.
We just been budgeting money and be spending money. So why the reason they now gave that they will not be able to come is that they said they value their names. If a car has been left unmaintained for many years, the next thing to do is not to maintain that car. And the proper thing when you are maintaining a car is to change the engine, change fuel filters and all that, and then change the oil and servicing. Now, if you have left that undone for many years, what you are going to do to rectify that is not to change the engine oil again.
Filter,
what you have to do at that moment, you are
going to change the whole engine.
You are going to change the whole engine. So they said they value their names. That any turnaround, there's no way they will do any turnaround for those assets, particularly the Port Harcourt refinery, that will work. In fact, you remember that many governments, because there is a lot of template on the ground, that different governments have
with
tried.
Different timelines different monies.
Remember that former President Olusegun became face to face with this reality. That was why on the eve of his administration, he sold all the refineries. But what do we have? Because it's important that we cast our minds back. When the late President Umaru Yar'Adua came to power, Nigerians, politicians, they went to meet him and they advised him and told him that to maintain a refinery, bring a refinery back to life is not a rocket science. Please revoke all these licenses. We know people that will do it.
That will turn it around.
That will turn it around and make it work. I want to at this juncture talk about how sad I feel, how saddening it is for me anytime I hear any government functionaries talk about hope in Dangote refinery. What happened that time was that Dangote's company Blue Star was the one that won the Port Harcourt refineries at that time. Then based on the work we do, there was a time, I think, when they were doing foundation laying of the Port Harcourt refinery. I was a part of the delegation journalists that went there. And during the question and answer session, I asked Aliko Dangote, okay, what was the motivation? Why would someone just wake up and say that
about the Dangote refinery?
The Dangote refinery.
When he was now building the Dangote refinery.
When he was not building the Dangote refinery. What was the motivation? How did you wake up one day and say that, okay, what I want to do is to build a refinery? He now said that, okay, so what happened was that in his bedroom, immediately after late President Yar'Adua revoked the license, that he felt so bad that because how will some people go and meet the president and cajole him into revoking
taking a bad decision?
So whereas the president didn't know, the late president didn't know, is the way Nigerians usually go around. Some Nigerians, not everyone, going around, to soil image of people and all that. So he now said he decided that day that what he's going to do is to start a refinery from the scratch. He said he made that decision in his bedroom. So now, rather very unfortunate that Nigerian functionaries, the government functionaries, majority of them will now be telling us, don't worry, everything is going to be settled. The pains is going to be, very soon.
When Dangote starts.
Why should we now start making reference to that Dangote refinery? So, to answer the question straightforward, those refineries can work, it is not through turnaround maintenance. It is going to be through total overhaul. Because when I asked Alhaji Dangote, okay, what miracle did you even have in plan before to bring those refineries?
The Port Harcourt refinery.
He said he has met with original asset manufacturer, and what they have advised is that certain compartments of those refineries have to totally be removed, and replaced.
All right. Again, I think basically you've laid it there that yes, these refineries can work, but whatever we have been doing to have spent over 21 trillion naira in 18 years turning around an asset that has been abandoned for that number of years was just completely fraudulent, where we're just throwing money into a bottomless pit, and that what it will need is a complete overhaul. Yeah. More like we are changing, parts and compartments, and almost like building a new refinery, if those refineries will work. So I think that's well stated. Now, recently during these conversations about subsidy removal, and of course, I think if you do a census, if you ask a lot of Nigerians, they will tell you that, look, one of the best ways to tackle this issue of price rising, the increase in price of PMS would be for us to have local refineries. That, look, if we have our own local refineries working, whether through privatization, concession arrangement, PPP, whatever arrangement, we should have local refineries working in Nigeria. That would, to a great extent, help with the issue of rising price of PMS and, of course, other petroleum products in Nigeria. The CEO, NNPCL, Mele Kyari, in one of his interviews, came up to say that, look, even if we have functional refineries in Nigeria, that, look, the margin will not be that substantial for us to think that prices were going to be better. A lot of people accuse him of playing down the need for us to have functional refineries in Nigeria. I think he gave the figure that we may not be saving more than 15 naira or so if we look at the landing costs and all of that when it comes to importation, and then the ability to refine locally. Let's put it against those calling for us to have functional refineries in Nigeria. We're still going to get to the figures, what it takes to build a refinery, modular refineries, what can they do and all of that. Importation is what we are doing now, refined products. I know you've taken us through some of the past arrangements, the oil swap deal, for example, the issue of taking our crude and all of that. If you put the calls by people for us to have functional refineries in Nigeria against what the CEO and NPCL said about the fact that, look, even if you refine locally, it will not really change anything. What do you make of the two positions?
Okay, thank you very much. I think I didn't listen to the CEO NNPC
when he said that.
But if you want to put these that I've just had, I would just say that if you want to put it in perspective, I would just say that maybe he spoke as as a businessman, someone that has the liberty to has the instruction from government to make profit from the business that is running for government.
He's not really thinking on this.
Exactly, because a fact that has to be established is that if you want to look at the opportunity cost, if you want to look at the business value chain, you will see that exporting crude oil and importing refined product is not only about 15 naira difference. It's about giving job to refineries abroad at the detriment of Nigerians that are supposed to do that. It is about strengthening the currency of countries where you are taking those crude to. Okay, so now for Nigerians to really understand what I'm just trying to, the picture that I'm trying to paint, it's important that I quickly lay this foundation. The forefathers of Nigerians, have envisioned a day like this.
A day like this.
Yes. That was why, after building those 4 refineries with 445,000 barrels capacity per day, they have assigned, 445,000
from whatever crude.
Whatever crude we are producing, the 445,000
must go to those refineries.
Must be allocated to those refineries every day.
Okay? As in, we keep that from whatever we produce.
From whatever we produce. In fact, we don't place the OPEC basket. No, the OPEC basket, because OPEC has quota given to Nigeria. We don't add, our local production
to that quota.
So it is done separately and allocated to the refineries. That has been in place so that at the end of the day, because crude oil is priced internationally, it will not have anything to do with
local refining and all of that.
And what's up. So Nigeria is an oil producer. We have the crude oil. We have the refineries. What is expected is to just take that volume into the refineries, refine, and supply into the local market.
The local market.
Yeah. Yes. So, but unfortunately, those refineries, they started playing hanky-panky with those refineries. They started, vandalization of
those refineries,
of pipeline supplying crude
to those refineries.
To those refineries. and at the end of the day they wreck those refineries. Now we are being subjected into exporting that 445,000 barrels. You made you alluded to the fact that government has entered into different contracts. One of that is the direct sale, the direct purchase agreement, which we all know as the crude swap. So the real sense of that is that they will take 445,000 barrels of crude. I mean, I said 405,000 barrels of crude for the one allocated for local refineries. They will take them abroad to refineries abroad and exchange that with a volume or liters of premium motor spirits and return that back.
So what you are saying, the direct sale, direct purchase is an arrangement where the government takes the crude that should go to our 4 refineries, that's 455,000 barrels of crude oil, to refineries outside, and then exchange it for a consummate liters of refined fuel.
Okay. Yeah. And that has been in place.
So what happens to other byproducts? Because I'm told that over 100 products can come out from crude oil.
Of course, definitely.
So what happens to those?
Okay, so what they will do is that they will just make the refining to getting more of PMS
than other products.
That wouldn't mean that there won't be other byproducts, because definitely you still get
so we dash them that one.
I don't know the arrangement, and that is what is making that arrangement to be laughable and questionable. Okay, now they have left, based on what some people are benefiting from that, they have left those refineries unattended to, and that has kept the refinery. That was why some people that understands the sector very well, applauded the decision to remove subsidy, because nothing will work if none of the refineries will work if we keep paying the subsidy. It will keep going into the wrong hand. We keep borrowing money, and and those refineries will not work. But unfortunately, the government did not approach that matter the way it ought to have approached it.
For us to I don't want us to lose track. So basically, you are saying that, look, if we have functional refineries in Nigeria, for example, the 4 refineries with 445,000 barrels per day capacity, and we're able to, apart from the OPEC quota, which I think we're supposed to be about 1.8 million barrels per day. I think we're doing about 1.2 million barrels per day.
Yes,
the founding fathers of Nigeria built those 4 refineries for us to have at least that quota of crude that is here in Nigeria supplied to those refineries, refined to take care of the local market. So is it correct to say that, look, if we have those 4 refineries working, or maybe modular refineries, our position in terms of pricing of PMS could have been a lot better?
Definitely it will be better, because it is, I deliberately made that explanation so that every Nigerian will understand the reason you cannot compare importation of this product
to refining
locally. Aside from even the price that will be extensively different, you will see that it is even going to help the naira. It's going to strengthen the naira.
Help our local currency, reduce pressure on dollars.
Help other businesses. Every human being, as we are seated in this studio, virtually everything here is is a product of crude oil. So you will see that even if they are refining and getting the white product, there will be other products like petrochemical and chemicals and all that. So there is no way anyone
would ever compare importation to refining locally.
It is so clear. So you cannot compare. So that was why I said maybe it was just talking based on someone that has an order from the government to make profits,
maybe
a target to meet. But there is no way you compare the two.
All right, it's still Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Saheed Fuhad. We have Adiola Yusuf here with us in the studio, and we're looking at the energy sector, basically looking at the oil and gas sector, and we're also going to touch on the power sector. Electricity is a major issue for Nigerians at this time. There's a conversation about increasing tariff or not. That debate is still out there. But again, we're streaming the show live, Political Roundtable, Mainland 98.3 FM. You can join us on Facebook. That's Mainland FM 98.3, Mainland FM 98.3, or join us on YouTube. That's Mainland 98.3 FM. We are streaming the show live, and of course you can drop your comments. Yes, you can drop your comments on this particular topic on our Facebook platform. Don't worry, I'm going to read all the comments today. I'm going to take my time to take all your comments on that particular platform. When we start, of course, to take comments and contributions. We're also going to make the show interactive as 09136 0000410. That's the phone number when we do open it up to take your comments and contributions. Now, Adela Yusuf, let's do some figures now. I think we've been able to establish the fact that, look, whether we like it or not, the removal of subsidy should have been better handled. Yes, it's a given. It has to go. We just have to allow subsidy to go. But again, the way it was handled should have been done a lot better. The current state of our refineries, you said, look, those refineries can still work, but it will require a major overhaul. The fact that, look, over 21 trillion in 18 years has just been wasting money. We weren't doing the right thing, the needed thing that should have been done on those refineries. And then, of course, the importance of refining locally. Again, opportunity for Forex. The fact that we can domesticate and price better for local needs. You also talked about the fact that, look, whether we like it or not, it's about employment. I think one of the conversations we had, you talked about the fact that, look, even our crude is one of the best in the world. And that some of the PMS they bring into the country would not have been as good as if we were able to refine locally. Can you shed more light on that?
Okay, thank you very much. The alias, the nickname they give to Nigerian crude is sweet crude.
Sweet crude,
yes,
in the international community.
In the international community. And they call it sweet crude based on two or more than that reasons. Yes. The first one is that he has very low, volume of carbon. It is light. So when refineries, when they are being refined in refineries, it takes lesser time. It takes lesser effort to refine them, unlike other crudes that they are called heavy crudes. You understand? Then the second one is that, when those products are, you remember during Abacha era and even recently when some PMS, were imported and they were smelling somehow the bad fuel. You understand? That is not what you get from, as products from Nigerian crude. So we are blessed. God did not only bless us with crude, he blessed us with
very good crude.
Very best.
He said it's sweet crude in the world. They call it sweet crude.
Sweet crude. So it's very, very unfortunate, that we lack leadership. It's very, very unfortunate that we are where we are as a country. God, there's no way we'll blame God in this equation. God has done the best for us. I think it means, for
us to just do the right thing. All right, we're going to go into figures. I want us to take some figures now. I think the easiest we can work with, people have said that, look, let us even ask ourselves, why can't we build new refineries? Let us even assume that the four have become moribund. We can't revive them. But can't we just build new refineries? Even if we're going to look at our situation from 1999 till date, that, look, whatever we have spent on trying to turn around this refinery, what exactly could it have given to us if we decided to build new refineries? I think the easiest figure we can work with is the Dangote refinery, which is currently regarded as the single train refinery in the world with 650,000 barrels per day refining capacity. It was built, I think the figures kept climbing. When it was first announced, it was not as high as $18.5 billion, but eventually it was completed within six to 7 years. With 18.5 billion, approximately $19 billion. Now, before the show, we were talking about these figures, Adiola Yusuf. Currently, to build 100,000 barrels per day capacity refinery, which is a smaller version of any refinery you can think about, it would take $1.5 billion to do that. That's about 1.5 trillion naira. If you convert it in using our, if you're using 750 or 800 naira, we'll be doing that a little over 1 trillion naira, less than 2 trillion naira, to build 100,000 barrels per day capacity refinery. The so-called modular refineries will do around 24,000, 20,000 barrels per day. And checking the figures, we saw that, look, you can build that with around 250 million naira. $1 million, so $250 million. And if we change that into naira, Adiola Yusuf, that would amount to about 187 billion naira. I know why you're smiling. Now, the Nigerian government just announced to us that they're going to be sharing 500 billion naira. 500 billion naira. And that would be 8,000 naira to 12 million households, vulnerable households, with the hope of targeting about 60 million individuals. Well, that policy is under review after the outcry, the condemnation of a lot of Nigerians. But the governors are in the mix now. They've said that, look, whatever we're going to use as a national social register to share that money lacks integrity. One wonders whether the list before was not a product of what the governors were also part of. But they want to now bring up the list from the state level to still share this money with some very funny condition. I'm not going to talk about that, but Adiola Yusuf. So it means that if we share 500 billion naira, if we decide to build modular refineries, 500 billion naira by this figure will give us close to 3 modular refineries of 24,000 barrels per day. Adiola Yusuf, subsidy 18 years, subsidy payment 18 years, gobbed 21.7 billion trillion naira. Sorry, I don't know. In 18 years, we've done 21.7 trillion naira. And so it means that, look, if 100,000 barrels per day refinery can be built with 1.5, maybe 2 trillion naira, just imagine how many refineries, if we decide to build from scratch, would have been able to do with 21.7 trillion that we spent on refineries in the last 18 years. There are people who think that there's a conspiracy somewhere for us not to have functional refineries. Adela Yusuf, what do you make of these figures?
Okay, thank you very much, Fuhad. I think first of all, let me commend President Bola Ahmed Tinubu for announcing publicly that he will review the plans to distribute 8,000 naira to Nigerians.
Okay.
What that showed to me was that maybe he was listening to outcry
to start to review the policy and he's listening to Nigerians.
He's listening to Nigeria because immediately he made that announcement. 2 things happened. The first one, he showed clearly that he just removed subsidy. Was not plan.
There was no plan. Really,
he didn't have any plan. Then the second one is that immediately you announce that you want to start distributing money to people. The end result is that you impoverish them the more.
Impoverish them the more,
yes. From what we said earlier, he is not going to be the first president to start distributing money. The question you should ask is that those that have distributed
what did we achieve with this?
There are some that even went into the market to start distributing money. Are Nigerians better off for it? Okay, so that question should be asked. Now, the president should watch his back. Fact of the matter is that anytime a figure that has to do with dollars or naira is announced on radio or television, there are some people that would make the decision to get their cut of it.
Okay, any announcement on money.
Any announcement on
some people sit down and they want
and say, okay, we will get a cut from this. And
whether by hook
or crook, we have to get a cut from it. And you could see, the fireworks that have started now. The governors condemning
National Social Register.
The National Register that was used by the Buhari or Shibajo administration to distribute money. And what that will tell you is that it is to discredit that and to give them the opportunity to be the one to now handle that money. So anytime that money, and at the end of the day, the unfortunate part of it is that the money will not even get to those that you expect them to get to. Now, what do we do with it? You have, reeled out figures, fantastic figures, very viable figures of, how we can establish refineries. It's not even talking about the refineries that we have already on the old ground. The old ones. You can fix those old ones. We have said it.
They are fixable.
Yes, and there is a lot of other, contracts. I'm aware of what they call the co-location contract. And what this co-location contract means is that those assets, the refineries, particularly, okay, let's say one. Let's start an example of one. The Port Harcourt refinery is established on a very large expanse of land. That can accommodate other refineries within that.
The Port Harcourt refinery. We can build more within that complex. We can build more
refineries. I'm aware of the contract, the co-location contract with Chevron and other companies to build other refineries and within that complex. And that what that will mean is that, you know, they are going to be sharing a lot of other facilities.
The pipelines are being screwed.
It's only just one pipeline that will, you know, unlike when you are building another one from the scratch. So I'm aware there's a lot of other contracts that they are signing. But now let's even leave that aside and talk about the money that the government is planning to share. Facts that has to be established is that Nigerians you know, we are a very special set of people on earth.
Special breed.
In some countries, if they have been subjected to half of what we have been subjected to now,
this hardship, yeah.
You remember the Arab Spring. You remember what happened, what led to the Arab Spring. You remember a lot of things. So Nigerians are a special set of people. We are very easy to satisfy. To be satisfied.
Yeah.
We are very easy to satisfy. So the government should try its best not to take, you know, undue advantage of our, you know, nature, so that won't turn, you know, us against the government eventually. So now, to talk about the figure that you reeled out, it is better for government to think very, very well about what it wants to do with the money that is, you know, allocating. Instead of sharing the money, I'm not saying this should be taken by the government to clang and sinker, but they should think very, very well. There are other things that they can do, like establishing refineries. Dangote has established a refinery. We were all here, you know, paying subsidy when it started from the start.
Of course, he was supposed to be studied somewhere in Ogun State.
Yes.
We were living when he moved it to Lagos.
And
we were also alive when he commissioned.
When he commissioned it,
it was an empty expanse of land. It's a place I know very well.
Okay, of course, you know, to even talk about that, you know that land where Dangote refinery is established is 12 times the size of Victoria Island.
The whole of Victoria Island.
12 times the size of the whole of Victoria Island. So what that will mean, and that is to tell you that if you establish a refinery, particularly the major refineries,
the big ones,
you know, there will be opportunities for even co-location. Other refineries can even be set up within that complex. So it's to tell you. So now this government should, I said, is the government, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should watch his back. I don't want to doubt his patriotism. I don't want to doubt that his commitment to Nigeria. But he should know that it's not going to be the only one. We are not in the military government.
There are people who may not mean well for Nigerians working with him.
Not who may not mean. We have a lot of people who don't mean well for Nigeria. So they are ready to bastardize. They are ready to, you know, water down whatsoever effort
policies he's bringing up.
He has, on occasions, termed himself as, master strategist. I think this is the time he will know. A lot of people have been saying it, which I agree with them 100%. He has done his best in Lagos, but at every point in time in his bedroom, he should be telling himself that Lagos is not Nigeria.
This is a different kettle of fish.
It's an entirely different kettle of fish. So he should try his best every time to remind himself that there are other people. As he's trying his best, there are other people. So eventually, if he's going ahead to distribute the money, instead of, using money to fix refineries or to even establish refineries, he may end up, in the very wrong ground. Okay, so the $500 billion, just, to buttress the points and the figures that you've read out, were established from the scratch 24,000 barrels per day capacity modular refineries. 3, because if you do the calculation, it's going to be 561 billion naira.
We were spending 400 billion naira monthly on subsidy. So if we're able to save just in 1 month of removing subsidy, we're able to save over 400 billion naira. So again, we're looking at the figures. That means if we decide to invest these monies, the FAC allocation, Adiola Yusuf, up over 1.9 trillion was to be shared amongst all the state governors. Now around 70 billion was shared, 1 trillion was kept aside. So I think we can establish that we can actually build refineries.
Definitely, Fuhad. In fact, it's rather very pathetic, to know that money that we've been spending for subsidy all this while, to the point of even borrowing money to spend on subsidy, can do a lot for us if the government, if there's that political will and that patriotism, But at the end of the day, all those, that are leading us should know that even a penny, by the time I pray they live long. By the time they die, a penny is not even going with them.
Yeah.
So why will you keep amassing money at the detriment of people that are supposed to be there? We cited, how best our crude oil is
in the world. It's even called. It has a name: sweet crude.
Sweet crude. That is what they call Nigerian crude.
In the international community.
Yeah, in the national community. That is why, OPEC cannot joke with Nigerians. That's why some countries can never ever joke with Nigerians. If you use refineries to, refine, every product, it damages the refineries. So when you are using, light, when you are refining with
a very good crude,
our lightweight crude, it makes the refineries to even be happy if there is if you want to just personify. So God has blessed us. It now depends on us, to now do the right thing. The president should, at every point in time, be reminding himself. I said it earlier. Let me repeat it. That there are other people that want him to fail. I pray he will not fail.
All right. We pray that the president does not fail. There's a lot of expectations. There are people that even tell you that, look, he's condemned to perform. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is condemned to perform because Nigerians are going through a whole lot. This is a government that is even appealing to Nigerians. I think Bayo Ononuga has been writing for some time. Dele Alaki has also been making comments saying that Nigerians should understand with the government and that there is a better future ahead, that Nigerians should just bear with the government. But again, it's about policies. I want to move to the power sector. But I think there's this important question I need to ask you, Adeola Yusuf. There are also people who have been telling the president that, look, you need to go after people who have been benefiting from the rot in the past in the oil sector, whether through bogus subsidy payments, fraudulent contracts within the oil sector. Also, the money spent so far on turnaround maintenance. There are people who are already saying that, look, we need to investigate and know those that have been going away with our money. Do you think the president should just look away from all of that and focus, or do you think that, look, if he decides to probe what has happened to subsidy payments, contracts in the power sector, the crude oil swap deal, and so many other things, in the oil sector, it could get some leverage and make some headway? Do you think, or do you think it's just going to be a waste of time?
Okay, I think the best decisions should be taken by the president, and I'll tell you the reason I, come up with that. Fuhad, we were all here when the president said that nobody should pity him. He said he asked for that job and nobody should pity him. And I want to right on the back of that, to say that he should try his best to do the right thing. I usually say something that the more, knowledgeable you are in this sector, the more pessimistic you want to be.
I quoted you, sir. I've always quoted you. The more you go into the oil sector to dig it up, the more pessimistic you are about the future of the country.
Fuhad, people have, with impunity, they have done a lot of things.
A lot of damage.
A lot of damage. You are aware, even though the case is in court, of a former GMD, a certain former GMD of NNPC, in which a whistleblower just, announced that in one village, in his village, in an abandoned, building, a building that you would never ever suspect, that he was able to stash dollars inside. And when the whistleblower entered the FCC, when they got there, they discovered the money, millions of dollars in in that uncompleted bid. We are aware of, even though another one is in court, of the Malabu oil deal.
The Malabu oil deal, yeah.
A lot, are there.
Scandal,
a lot are there. But what I just want to know, to let you understand, is that all the politicians, they are the same.
You have not answered my question. Should we probe the sector?
I'm going there for it. The question you ask yourself is that despite the pains that Nigerians are going through, because we have to establish that fact for it, this subsidy removal has subjected a lot of Nigerians into serious pains and serious agony. Okay? And some of them have even agreed that, okay, we will pass through this one. Let's just see what is going to happen.
Hoping that there's something better
the
coming. The
National Assembly budgeted 100 billion naira for furniture, for vehicles. For this government 100 billion naira for vehicles. For the why some Nigerians that have cars have parked their cars.
The roads are virtually empty.
The roads are virtually empty. Some cannot even afford a three square meter.
No, they're there for a long time.
No.
Who does 3 square meters?
For this subsidy removal has even worsened
the situation.
Situation for a lot of Nigerians. So a certain number of people, very few of them, about 360, have budgeted 100 billion naira Fuhad. Out of all these people, we have those that won on the platform of Labour Party. They have not protested. They have not organized a press conference to say that
we are not going to be part of this.
We are not going to be part of that. Out of them, you have the APC. Out of them, we have the PDP. So when it comes to sharing of money, all of them, there's no party affiliation. Fuhad, this president needs to wash his back. If he wants to go into probing, is welcome. But he should just have the people, the think tank, to look at it, to weigh the option, because that one too is going to cause a lot of distractions. That one too is going to cause a lot of so if he has that chest, the war chest to do it, I think the best thing to do is for him to go ahead and do it. But there's no way those that have swindled Nigeria should go scot-free. All
right, Adeola Yusuf is still Political Roundtable on mainland 98.3 FM, and today our focus is basically the energy sector. Majorly, we've been talking about the oil and gas sector, looking at the issue of subsidy removal, the state of our refineries, what it will take to build the refineries, importation, and all of that. The fears of Nigerians, before I move to the power sector, Adeola Yusuf, when subsidy was removed, NNPCL said, look, market forces will now determine the pricing of PMS. And just recently, prices also went up, and now I think the general price is around 617 naira per liter, 700 naira per liter, depending on where exactly you are buying PMS from in the country. And of course, the CEO NNPCL also came out and he said that, look, it's off their hands. Whatever we're seeing in terms of price adjustments is a factor of what you can call market forces and all of that. And a lot of Nigerians are saying that, look, these market forces, this interplay of the regulation in the downstream sector would never drop the price of PMS. If we're going to be looking at factors like the price of crude in the world, the issue of Forex and all of that. And so the fear is that, look, we have not seen the end of rising price of PMS. And that, look, if nothing is done, if the government is not responsive, and majorly it's about locally refining, we could see a situation where PMS could sell for over 1,000 naira per liter. For those that are not seeing these fears, you think it's valid, or maybe market forces could well see a situation where prices could drop to maybe 200 naira per liter or even 100 naira per liter. The almighty market forces. I'm sure you know that.
Okay, thank you very much. That is one of the questions I have been praying that you shouldn't ask me on this program.
You know I'm going to ask you. You need I'm sure you know the market forces. Okay. I don't know that.
Fact of the matter is that immediately the president announced the removal of subsidy, it means that we have a free market. And subsidy removal was announced while we are still depending on importation. Okay, so that has added two major forces into the market forces. The first one is the international price of crude oil.
Okay, so one of the market forces identified.
That is one
out of the market forces.
Out of the market forces. The second one is the Forex.
Second market
because
forces.
You will need dollars to go and get the refined product into the country.
All right.
That was what I alluded to when I was addressing, the alleged interview of the CEO of NNPC, saying that there won't be much difference between, you understand. So, and as this government removes subsidy, there is this policy on Forex too that he did.
The floating of the dollar.
The floating of the dollar. So, the two combined together affected, this pricing for about 80%. So coupled with the landing costs, the freight costs.
Those are also forces.
They are forces too.
Okay.
Then the unseen forces
within the market.
With the unseen forces, that may be eating shawarma.
on the sweat of Nigerians.
The unseen forces, of course, there will be, and I'll make it, very clear to Nigerians. Immediately, the NNPC, a few days ago, the NNPC announced its price, the price of 617 naira per barrel. I mean, per liter.
Per liter, yes.
For PMS. Immediately,
every other person adjusted.
No. The marketers shut their stations.
So they are also forces.
They are forces. They are unseen forces, the forces that don't want progress for the country. And we have to face this fact. That was why I kept saying that the president, from the look of things, seems not to
understand.
Know that there are some people that still have the mentality of pre-subsidy removal era.
Still operating within that frame.
Because why will a market, based on market force, based on a free market, why will you shut your station immediately NNPC announced for its outlets?
So people are asking, is the NNPC still determining pricing?
No.
Because anytime they adjust their price, every other person adjusts.
Okay, so what happened is that as we still speak now, NNPC is still the major importer.
So they are still a major market force.
They are still a major market force.
As far as the downstream is concerned,
And when it comes to the number of outlets, the filling stations, NNPC has the highest. So, and based on the new era of transparency and accountability, if they are adjusting their price, they need to make it public. So others hide under them. So no, to now adjust. So if you're adjusting your price, there's nothing wrong with it. Why will you shut your gates against motorists?
So are you saying that, look, in the books, the framework shows that, look, the downstream sector is deregulated, and one would assume that, look, it has to be an interplay of market forces, a free market economy. But in reality, we still have dominant players who determine the unseen and seen situation of PMS pricing. Okay,
so I would say yes, based on what we still have on ground. So what we've been told and what we know is that it takes a maturity period for everything to normalize. But as we still speak now, there are still people with the orientation of pre-subsidy removal era among the marketers. I've asked the question, from the representative or officials of the marketers group, but have told us that those ones are the bad eggs. But a lot still needs to be done, to filter out those bad eggs and, if possible, bring them to book.
All right, Adeola Yusuf, thank you so much. We have Adeola Yusuf, Team Lead Platforms African and award-winning energy journalist in Nigeria, in the studio with us. And together we've been looking at the energy sector, the oil and gas sector. We're going to move to the power sector. We'll do that very fast and then open the phone lines for you to be a part of the show. 09136 000410, 09136 000410. You can also join the show live on Facebook, Mainland FM 98.3, or through YouTube, which is Mainland 98.3 FM. You can drop your comments. I'm already seeing a lot of comments on our Facebook platform. Like I said, I'm going to make sure to read all of the comments that we have on Facebook, and of course give you enough time to also bear your thoughts on the topic of the day through our phone line. But Adeola, so let's quickly go to the power sector. Of course, everybody is celebrating. I think it was one of the major points of celebration as far as activities of this government is concerned. Recently, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu assented to the Electricity Bill Act, which empowers states, companies, and even individuals. So for people, it's not just even states. As an individual, if you have the capacity, as a company, if you have the capacity, you can generate, transmit, and distribute electricity in Nigeria. It was recently assented to. I think it started with the Buhari government sometime in March. When that bill was assented to, I think it was modified a bit, and then we now have it eventually assented to by this government. What do you make of that, and what do you think that will bring to the country as far as the power sector is concerned? Okay,
thank you so much, Fuhad. It's important for Nigerians, again, to understand, this that we want to talk about. So I'll go into laying the foundation. The power sector has 3 strata. Okay, so the first one, before in your room, you switch, you press the switch and you see your bulb lighted. A lot of things happen. So those things are categorized into three stages.
Three sectors.
Okay, so the first one is the generation. Okay, so that, and from with the name, you can see that it has to do with the real production of that, the megawatts of electricity, and that is done through gas, the thermal plants. They call them thermal when they have to do with gas. When they are gas fired. They call them hydro when they are, where they use water, the dam, and the other renewables. But majorly in Nigeria, about 90% or more than 80% of the power being generated in Nigeria come through thermal. So
which is gas fired.
Those ones are called the GenCos, the generation companies. Now we have the transmission companies. So transmission, we have scattered all over Nigeria some skeleton looking like poles that are carrying
electrical structures
that are carrying high voltage electricity. So what they do is to transport they are connected to the generation companies, different generation companies, and they transport that high voltage
power.
For people living very close to them or driving very close, you could see the sound. Because so they have very, very high voltage that those ones are help to. So everything that has to do with that is transmission. So they they evacuate electricity from the generation companies, into the substations. So from that substations, the voltage is stepped down into this into lesser voltage. Voltage
that we can use in the house. Yeah.
Then no. You cannot even use it in the house.
Not yet.
Then from that, not yet. Then from there, high tension wires take them to different transformers.
Okay.
So it is when it gets into the high tension wire into the transformer that it gets to the distribution level. That is when you could see that and what transformer does again too is to still step it down further into the usable form. Now between when it's being evacuated from the generation into where it gets to your substation and all that, that is transmission. So now what we relate, those that we relate with all the time
are the distribution companies.
So before it can get into our house, different houses, it has to start from where I just the generation level. So all the three put together are the power sector industry. Now, a major thing happened on Friday, in November 1st, 2013. 2013. That was when the asset of the Power Holding Company of Nigeria,
PACN,
was sold through the privatization of the sector. So what government did that time?
That was during the Jonathan government.
During the Jonathan government. What the government did that time was to sell 60% share in the distribution sector. Okay. So then they sold, they privatize the generation, stratum too. Okay. Leaving the transmission in its armpit
to government. Government still held the
transmission. So on a number of occasions they have referred to transmission as the weak link. Even though,
so is it that one that used to collapse?
I'm getting there. I'm getting there. So, based on the way government runs its things, allegedly, last year we kept having collapse of that.
That's the national grid.
The national grid
that keeps collapsing.
And part of the reasons, major reasons for collapse. One of the reasons that featured majorly for collapse last year, with the number of collapse that we realized, was that anytime the capacity that is more than the capacity of that
from the generation is coming, the thing just collapse. It doesn't have the capacity to carry what is being generated.
Because it has been left unattended to by government. We don't have as much investment in that as we have in generation and in the distribution.
So government privatized generation and distribution and held on to transmission. Which is the link.
Which is the link between the two.
Right.
People have been, even people in government have argued that, okay, there is no way you want to leave everything into the private hands.
Maybe they still have
Let's
to
just hold on to some. That is the argument of the part of government. Other people are saying that, okay, look at why will it keep collapsing? People will not invest in it when government
still running it.
So that is a fact that has to be established about the power sector.
So you think that this new law would turn things around?
Now, thank you. Now, part of the Achilles heels for the power sector, for development of the power sector, is the government, people in government, the insincerity of people in government still holding to some things within the power sector, and their connivance, the collaboration with the private entities, the private men
within the sector.
Now there has been a law that if you generate up to 100 megawatts or more than 100 megawatts,
you have to hand it over.
You have to take it to the national grid, to that same national grid.
That has been collapsing.
And the fear is that, okay, Lagos, for instance, from the last audit done, needs at least 10,000 megawatts
to power Lagos adequately.
Nigeria as a whole, as we speak, is still battling with
maybe 4,000.
No, it's not up to 4,000. Between 3,000 and 3,500 megawatts. Nigeria as a whole. So the what do we call it? Is it national character? You call it now?
Federal character.
Federal character. You call it.
You have to distribute that 3,500.
Whether they need it whether they need it or not,
you have to give it to them.
You have to give it to them because they too, they are part of Nigeria.
So that 3,500 we have to share.
We have to just share.
So it's not federal character.
Whereas if it were to be a free market, you give power to where it needs it more. But a fact has to be established that we are suffering, energy poverty in the country, because a country of 200 million cannot be depending on 3,000 megawatts. I've just cited the audit of Lagos that showed that Lagos alone needs 10,000. So there is that, energy poverty, established. Now, what this new law has come to correct, they are into about 5 legs. But let me just cite, some that are very, very important. Number one is to liberalize that market. If an estate, if a government
within their estate,
they can generate the capacity to generate, they are free.
Transmit and distribute within their estate. They can do that.
If a government has the capacity to do
even
that, if a school has the capacity to
generate and transmit,
so what that has done is to liberalize the sector. You remember that what they have done through that 2013 privatization was to change the ownership. Not that they have liberalized the market, unlike what we have in the telecoms, because a lot of people that do not understand the sector very well who want to cite what happened in the telecoms and compare it with the power sector. What we have in the power sector was privatization. They privatized what
already existed, just a change of name and structure.
Whereas in the telecommunication, they liberalized the market. They started issuing license for players to come in, and so if you do not like the service of MTN,
you can move to the next
move to the next one. Unlike the power sector that we still have it. So what this one has not done is to liberalize, maybe not at the volume of the telecommunication, but to liberalize the market. That's number one. Then number two, the regulation of the power has been given, to the states, but with a clause. The clause is that, any state that has been that has domesticated the power sector, law, will be able to be the one to now
take advantage
of that. But let me shock you, Fuhad. In the whole of the country, it's only 2 states that have domesticated that law.
Power sector law,
It's only Lagos State and Edo State. So other states will just be spectators in the whole of this. But that is not a bad news. They can as well go ahead and domesticate the law. Talk to their National Assembly. I mean, to their House of Assembly. And domesticate the law. So this new power sector act is going to help tremendously. But and again, we need to just still remind ourselves of the political will, of
to
the
do the right thing.
sincerity of purpose, of the the decision to do the right thing on the part of people and the government.
All right, I think we've had a very, very robust conversation as far as the energy sector is concerned. A lot has been said about the oil and gas sector. We've also touched on the power sector, and I think it's time to, of course, make the show interactive, open up our phone lines, and also take comments on our social media platforms. Like I said, we're streaming the show live on Facebook, Mainland FM 98.3. You can drop your comments there. We have a lot of comments already. I'm going to take all of them. And then on YouTube to Mainland 98.3 FM. You can watch the show live and then, of course, drop your comments there. I'm going to open the phone lines. I'll start with taking phone calls and then, of course, come back to taking messages on our Facebook platform, 091 36 0000410. You've listened to all our conversations, from subsidy removal to the way it was handled at refineries. What do you think? What do you think the government can do in the energy sector to better the lives of ordinary Nigerians? Hello, good evening.
Mr. Fuhad, good evening, sir. How are you, sir?
Good evening, I'm fine. How are you too?
Okay, I'm all right. My name is Solomon. It's been a while here, actually.
Solomon, where are you calling from this evening?
I'm calling from Baghdad at the moment.
All right, Solomon.
And good evening to our distinguished guest, Mr.
Adiola Yusuf.
And every other person in the
Solomon.
studio. Okay, I'm actually very happy to even be the first person to call.
The
last time Mr. Adiola Yusuf came in, I'm going to start by just borrowing from the last statement that he made, and he has also actually made that statement today. That is, the more you begin to dive into the oil and gas sector, Nigerian oil and gas sector, the more pessimistic you become about the sector. With all of the revelations that he has made tonight, there's just one question that just comes to mind, and that is it that we don't have people that know these basic things, Mr. Fuhad? All of these analyses, they don't sound to me like rocket science.
It's not. Even rocket science, people study it and understand it.
For goodness sake. And we have government officials that want to share this billion naira on something that will not be why do they want to give us fish? Why do they want to give us fish? Are we begging for fish? Are we begging for food? Hey, Mr. Fuhad,
I don't know.
With all of these things, I don't even know what to say at this moment. Let me just leave the room for every other person to come. Right. Thank you so much, Mr. Adiola. Thank you, and have a blessed evening.
Thank you, Solomon. So God bless you too, Solomon. 091 36 0000410. Hello, good evening.
Very good evening to you, Mr. Fuhad.
Good evening, Prince Wise.
I really thank you. Mr. Yusuf.
Good evening, sir.
God will bless you more and more.
Amen, sir.
Mr. Hello?
I'm with you, Prince Wise.
If we are looking for somebody who's qualified to be a minister, is Mr. Yusuf not qualified enough?
I don't know whether he's a politician.
This when we talk about technocrat, this is the type of man we need now. And I want to beg you to do one thing for us. If you are not picked as an advisor, you are not picked as a minister, please, I want you to be rapid. What do they call this thing? Memo to the president.
He has a platform. You can always follow his stories on Platforms Africa, platformsafrica.com. So he's a team lead there, and he's also an award-winning journalist. So don't worry.
When you are reading about it, I was so happy, but you should not forget what I told you now. That memo to the ministry that is concerned, even to the presidency, they need to buy your idea. For that.
All right.
And for the refinery, I know when they take the subsidy, we feel the pain. The refinery, to be the refinery in this country, according to what Mr. Yusuf said, it takes a lot of time, take a lot of money. Even though they want to pump money to that the corruption don't make it to work, they need to start from scratch. So if government to build this, they have to just hand with the private body to do it. Anything handled by government only come to this stage. So I want to appeal. That is to be secondary. But the primary now, to me, is for to cushion the pain of this, is for them to give us what we need for our like transportation, sea transport, land transport. If they divide to state now, they say, if Lagos state governor want to give for palliative, we don't need money. What we need, we have BRC. He can pay up some money for us to enter it, like the 50%. But if you want to do palliative, you can only buy buses like palliative or subsidy relief.
All right, Prince Wise.
That price.
Thank
That's
you,
what
sir.
I will say this evening.
God bless
God
you,
bless you, Mr. Fuhad.
Thank you,
God
sir.
bless more and more.
Amen. Thank you. All right. 09136000410. Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, I want to know
Your name, sir. Your name, sir.
that,
Your name.
Okay,
Sir.
my name is Ken. I'm calling from Agbado.
Ken from Agbado. Okay, please go on, sir.
Yes, these people that are working in the refinery that are not producing anything.
Yes.
And they are collecting constant salary, promotion,
Yes.
and other allowance.
They resume there every day.
Huh?
They resume there every day. That's where
Yes,
you
and they are also entitled to retirement benefit. What are their contribution to our economy? That's the only thing I want to ask. Thank you.
You want to answer that question?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Ken. I think we have to be very fair to them. They are being employed based on their.
They were employed legally.
Legally, it is not their fault
That
that
the thing is not working.
what they want to work with or work
It's not working.
work over is not working. Any attempt to try to restructure, the workforce, what usually happens
with labor and all of that.
The Nupeng and all that, all Nigerians may likely suffer, for it. So,
all right. So again, the tools to work with is not working. It's not their fault, and they were employed. All right. 09136000410. Hello. Good evening.
Hello. Good evening.
Good evening.
Fuhad.
Good evening, sir.
Yeah, my name is John the Great. I'm calling from Akowanja.
Oh, John the Great. How are you doing, sir?
I'm great. Thank you so much. I appreciate your guest in the house, Mr.
Adiola Yusuf.
Adiola Yusuf.
Thank you
He's
so
a
much.
very sound, seasoned technocrat. God bless him.
Amen, sir.
I just want to give a little suggestion on the last discussion on power and energy. I want to appeal to other state governments. They should domesticate
That law.
that law so that it will open up businesses in their state and reduce the number of people in Lagos. At least that can start a little, that can be a little way of helping their citizens or helping the populace in that state. So they should try and let it get down to their state so that the power sector there will be open up. My second question, or what I want to ask, is this. Giving the licenses to importers for petroleum products and the possibility of having a local refinery, how will it help in the economy of Nigeria? I'm leaving that question to our guest in the house.
All right.
Good evening.
I think we quickly take that. Adiola Yusuf.
Thank you so much, Mr. John. That is a very, very good question. In actual fact, a lot of people have even described it as a conflict of interest. But what we have at hand, if you want to face the economics of it, is that in as much as the refineries are not working,
we still have to import.
So the reality we have at hand is to, allow a free market by giving
more licenses to
people, to import, and that wouldn't disturb the government from trying to fix the refineries. Once the refineries start working, even though some people may still want to come and collect the license, the government will be running its refineries.
And so you have to check whether to import or...
Yes. So another thing to quickly add to it is that Nigeria is a very, very huge market when it comes to consumption of PMS. So I think at the end of this, it's going to help the country's economy. So it is not out of place to issue licenses, even when the refineries are working, for whoever that wants to use
to still continue to import.
To import, if the economics is good.
Makes sense to whoever wants to do that. All right. Thank you so much, Yusuf. 09136 0004. Hello, good evening. Can you please help us with your phone? Turn down the volume, please. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Yes, good evening.
Yeah, my name is Sunday. I'm calling from Ilupeju.
Okay, please, Sunday.
Well, thank you very much for organizing this program every Sunday. It's a very manageable one.
Thank you.
And I want to appreciate your guest there, Mr. Jola Yusuf.
Yes, sir.
It's an indeed an energetic journalism. Thank you very much. Yes, I want to speak on the issue of gas and oil in this country. All right. But first, I'll ask you a question. When did subsidy issue came into the system?
Okay.
That is one.
Okay.
Okay. And because I'm aware that all these refineries were built by the military regime. All right. There's a saying that says, go to a man, thou sluggard, consider our ways and be wise. Now, if we say military people are not good, but they are the ones that set up all the people that we are enjoying today, what is the democracy doing to build on what military built? All right. I'm wondering, that's why I have the third question. When the subsidy came in,
this idea of subsidy, when did it start?
Or when? Please, I want an answer, please.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sunday. Just listen via the phone. Sorry, via the radio. Thank you. All
okay,
right.
thank you so much, Mr. Sunday. And very interesting question. We started having payment of subsidy around 30 years ago. When the refineries started having issues,
serious issues. Yeah.
Okay. And the sense by those that started this was that, okay, if we want to do a turnaround maintenance for a refinery, what that will mean is that refinery will not be producing at that moment.
You have to shut it down partially.
Yes.
For some time.
Yeah, for some times. And the product meant to be refined in that refinery
will
has to be taken elsewhere. So then when we started that, and maybe some people discovered that, okay, taking these products outside will even be,
it gives them more money. Pepper,
it started opening, some people's eyes into
importation of PMS.
And and that was when vandalization of the refinery, pipeline supplying through to the refineries, started. That was when became even more popular. That was when even leaving the refineries unattended to became even more popular,
because the people saw the opportunity with bringing PMS.
Saw the opportunity, and they were people that are not patriotic enough. So it became so popular around that time, and it has become, and it started we started breeding it, and now it has become has become something that from that small stature becomes something so huge that is consuming the whole country until very recently, when an announcement was made.
And he talked about when the refineries were built, again, when the refineries were built, and the fact that, look, democracy, we've not been able to even do anything, not fix, talk less of building new ones.
Okay, I understand the feeling of Mr. Sunday.
Yeah.
And the feeling that, okay, maybe democracy, based on the fact that he has cited him, because, but I want to just advise that democracy too has a lot of benefits. That he's able to even hear his view on radio and condemn certain governments is one of the benefits of democracy.
All right.
Because during the military regime, you dare not even on a national radio. There will be consequence for it. So democracy is good, and that is as well to say that people condemning the military, those that have come and all that, you even take a cue that it's not all men that are bad. It's not all those that have led us with khaki that are bad. It's not all those that are led us with agbada that are also good. Yeah. So it is individualistic.
All right. 09136. I will take this call and then I'll start taking messages from our Facebook platform. 09136 000 410. 09136 000 410. Hello, good evening.
Wow, good evening.
Good evening.
This is Ben.
Oh, Ben, how are you doing?
I'm fine, my brother.
How's Lekki today?
Lekki is cool.
All right.
I greet your girl in the studio.
Yes.
Wow, I'm going to go straight to palliatives and the whatever. Look, when we are talking about politics in Nigeria, honestly, I give it to Asiwaju. God bless him. Look, before now, people have been shouting. They have been abusing him. Talking about why do you want to give 8,000 to people? Why did this? Why did that? Why did this? But intelligent politician, he threw it out. I give it to the governor to handle. You can see now, since the time that he roll it out and give it to governor to handle, you can see the noise like going down. Because people already try to like pull him down through that aspect. But it's an intelligent man. He let it go and he let your state governor handle it. So nobody will put any condition or whatever or abusing him on this area. So I give it to him. He's my leader. God will bless you, Asiwaju. I know you are going to succeed. You have started well. Thank you so much, Asiwaju, and greet you guys in the studio.
I greet you too, Ben. Thank you. It's, I say strong support. We'll take messages from our Facebook platform now. We have Oluwole Noah Taiwo, who is saying, welcome to Political Roundtable. We have Basil Chika, who is saying, President Tinubu can only find solution from this already battered economic decision he made by speedily constituting his cabinet and make sure that the right people are fixed in the area of specialization, and make sure he doesn't hesitate to fire all the incompetent head of ministries and parastatals he inherited from former President Buhari administration, because the way things are going out there, nobody is happy with the situation on ground. He should think fast and save his government. Chika Bende from Trade Fair, Lagos. We have a message from Shamsuddin Babatunde Mogaji, who is saying, good evening, Fuhad and the guest. Thanks for bringing this man into your program. He has spoken the truth to all and sundry. Nigeria will experience relief in the coming days. Let's keep pushing for the best and always say it as it should be to the government, no matter who talks is God. Nigeria will be a better place to live. Nigeria is currently experiencing a process of child labor. After the delivery, resounding joy will come afterwards. God bless Nigeria. That's from Shamsuddin Babatunde Mogaji. We have Aziz Udukala, who is saying, good evening, Mr. Fuhad Saheed. Kudos to your guests for the insightful analysis in the energy sector. God blessed us with oil, but sadly our oil look like cost and not a blessing. If I'm not mistaken, we are already the only oil producing country without any tangible development, and many citizens living in abject poverty. We have Tony Ajishegiri saying, good evening, guys. I have gained robust knowledge from Mr. Yusuf, and I appreciate the quality of questions from Mr. Fuhad. It is not out of place to say Nigeria has been unfortunate to have bad leaders. If this country fails to bring people to justice for destroying the economy, more people will still continue to devise means to damage it. If Mr. Tinubu does not set up a commission of inquiry to review how 21 trillion naira has gone down the drains in 18 years, then we still do not have revolutionary leadership in him. Revolution starts by identifying a problem, plugging it, bringing justice, and offering sustainable and enduring solutions, mitigating attendant risks completely. The moribund refineries can be fixed if we have honest, patriotic leaders. I'm still not fascinated by the decision of this government, as I beg these leaders to let the poor breathe. They should not push us into the wall, as taking undue advantage can trigger an uprising. This may be difficult to manage. Thank you. And that's from Tony Ajishegiri. We have Larry Bashir, who is saying, good evening, Mr. Fuad and Mr. Yusuf. Thank you so much for bringing this topic. Tinubu lacks the idea on how to manage human suffering. It should be told that many Nigerians are suffering while he and his cronies are living large in their homes. If this suffering continues for another 6 months, Nigerians, okay, all right. We have this one from Afiz Olayinka Salah, who is saying, hi, Fuad, why is NNPC quick to change prices that leads to other marketers selling old stock at the new rate of NNPC? They should be looked into. It's unfair to all citizens. And then we have this message from Shepherd Inyailu Nwaize, who is saying, welcome to, okay, I appreciate our guests for saying it as it is. So no hope for a new refineries for maintain the ones we have. Nigerians, take heart. We have Unwudu Austin, who is saying, good evening, Fuhad. Okay, this message keeps coming about a particular estate in Akeson that have been in darkness. Iyewo Estate Akeson is still in total darkness. We are hoping that IKDC listens to them and do something about their situation. Of course, we have the last message here from Adebayo Tunde the Don, who is saying, good evening, boss, and boss, Mr. Yusuf. How can I get work in one of those refineries so that I can join them using big cars and collecting big salary for just going to office to do nothing? I think we should be talking about patriotism here. Thank you. Well, those are the messages so far from our Facebook platform. Again, you can still drop your messages. I'm sure I'm going to take them. 09136 000 410. 09136 000 410. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Fuad.
Yeah, good evening, sir.
This is Mr. Kennedy Alabi calling from Michigan.
Okay, Mr. Kennedy Alabi, please go on.
Big thank you and links to the guest over there.
Yeah, Mr. Yusuf.
Good evening, sir.
I believe that the country will be better by the grace of God.
Amen.
One thing that I find difficult to understand is the inauguration of Dangote refinery.
Okay.
At least when an establishment like that is inaugurated, before being inaugurated, there must be test run. Their products must have been
produced.
Produced. At least in some quantity before inauguration. After inauguration, the companies are supposed to start production. This refinery was inaugurated, I think early
May, yeah.
Until it told us that we're going to start production in July. Up till now, no single barrel has been produced from that place. And the resources of this country was flung to that substantial number. Because I recall, when it was being inaugurated, the SY governor of Central Bank was posting immediately how it made available unquantified number of dollars in Norway for the establishment of that refinery. What is the benefit that refinery wants to give to the nation at this critical period?
All right.
That's the question I want to ask.
All right.
What's the way out?
I was going to ask you that. Thank you so much, Mr. Kendi Alabi from Mushi. I was going to ask you that question. Remember, we had a conversation before today on the current state of the Dangote refinery because there was so much hopes on the Dangote refinery. It was supposed to be like our savior when it comes to refining locally. I know there's a timeline for August. We've seen different timelines for it to start refining. But what is happening at the Dangote refinery currently? It's been inaugurated, I think, almost 3 months now.
Okay, thank you so much. I think those are the public affairs department of Dangote
will be the one to answer that question.
To do justice to that. But one thing I know is that the refinery another aspect of the refinery, which has to do with the fertilizer, has been working and reaching out.
It's already producing fertilizer.
But it's important at this point to maybe tell Nigerians, to reduce
their expectations.
We have been fed with, we have been misinformed, quote and unquote, by some government officials, past government officials, about that Dangote refineries and what it stands for, pertaining to Nigerians.
Or what we stand to gain from it.
What we stand to gain from it. For crying out loud, Dangote, the owner of the business, in the course of this conversation, I've stated what I heard from him about the reason
for building that refinery.
So he's a private entity spending $18.5 billion. He got the money, larger chunk of that money from lenders. And he's a private businessman.
He needs to make his money.
To make his money. Another thing is that refinery is established on a free trade zone. What that means is that he is not under legal obligation. Except he wants to, based on being a Nigerian, want to say, okay, I want to supply the local market.
We have a 20% stake there.
Okay, I'm getting there. It was from our report when we started talking to the government about the danger that, through NNPC acquired the 20%. And, what that will mean is that the NNPC or any representative of government will just be on the seat, on the board. They
can't decide anything. They can't decide. 20% stake.
20 out of, there are some other people with 80% stake. So what that will mean is that, Dangote refinery can...
It's not obliged to the local market.
You can't take him to court for not supplying the local market. He may do that quite right based on the fact that he's a Nigerian, and if at the end of the day the economics is very, very good for him to do that locally. But there has even been template of him targeting the West Africa and even targeting other parts of the world to supply the product.
So basically lower your expectations, and we don't have a complete idea of when production will start, PMS production will start.
Yeah, because every time we have been having different timelines as to when the real PMS production will happen on that facility.
But was it wise to have commissioned before? Oh, well, you said fertilizer was ongoing, so you still commissioned.
But what they commissioned was a refinery,
not fertilizer.
Not fertilizer. The fertilizer has been in operation even
before the
commission.
Last year.
Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Adiola Yusuf. Let me take some more messages from our Facebook platform, and then we'll go back to taking phone calls. We have Mary Sonia here on Facebook saying, good evening, Mr. Saheed and Yusuf. What is that major hindrance that is stopping the overhauling of existing refineries to measure up to that 445,000 barrels per day? What's the evil force stopping this? Lack of political will or something? Very interesting conversation and great insight from Adiola Yusuf. Keep it up, Saheed. I love your charisma, commanding voice, and knowledge on the mic. Thank you so much, Sonia. All right, we have Dayo Dada who is saying, evening, Mr. Fuhad, it's my turn. As turns to suffering has come. More than 40 days in power has been pain in the neck of the people. More than 4 killed nationwide. I don't know where you're getting that figure, but I know there have been deaths actually. But from subsidy to taxes to student loan, 70 billion for the boys and 8,000 for non-poor people. Now increase of fuel again. It is also, you should all make sacrifice and tighten your belt. I also always tell you guys, this government came as, all right, so many unprintable words there that are not fit for radio. but we got your message there, Dayo Dada. And then, of course, we have Abiodun Ayorin, the Kokore, our own in-house presenter here, saying interesting topic. We Nigerians are listening and learning. 091 36 000 410 091 36 000 410. Mainland 98.3 FM Political Roundtable. Hello, good evening.
Good evening, everybody in the studio.
Yeah, good evening, Informer.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Where are you calling from? Where are you calling from?
Magodo is the location.
Okay.
Is the
location.
You have not changed your location.
All right.
No, I have not changed my location.
Yeah, go on, Informer.
One of the funniest, I almost carried it when you are analyzing it. Most of the award your guests have won. I say, what's amazing international guests?
That one I know.
Okay, looking at it, during your program last week, the other colleague, he mentioned that during the Buhari regime, that during the subsidy, that some of his colleagues went to him that those who are making enough money went to beg him that he should put an end because this thing is not working.
I think it was governor of Bauchi State or something. Yeah.
Do you know? I was very troubled. I was just God that God should just have mercy on us. That if they such people went to him and begging that their colleague that make so much money that should just do it with, and then he did not even listen to them. Now came back to the issue of today. Thank God that you have your guests that is those the refinery repairable. So we just need a sincerity governor. Truly, if we have a sincerity governor with his own analysis, the 4 refineries will work. Exactly. So for now, we don't have sincerity because follow his analysis. At the end of the day, if we are not careful with all the money we are spending, we may not have a better result on this 4 refineries. If I may ask, please, whose present studies were the regime Bongo? Is it your person?
No, we'll announce. We'll talk. I think you have said almost 30 years ago we started paying subsidy.
Okay, 30 years ago.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Not now.
We are still paying. Well, we have stopped paying now.
We have stopped paying now.
All right, thank you so much, Informer. 091 36 000 410 091 36 000 410. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir. Please turn down the volume of the radio set, sir.
Yeah, I found that.
All right, your name, sir.
Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Yes, we're with you. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm Victor calling from Satellite Fan.
All right, Victor, please go on, sir.
Your guest has finished the entire matter, which I think I speak very wisely. Dangote, I don't know why a lot of people are hoping Dangote. Dangote have gone into a lot of products that we know, apart from the fuel, things like that. Dangote is into salt, is into macaroni, into all these kind of things. Can the poor man buy the salt and macaroni in the market compared to the foreign one? So, Dangote, the reason that there's no hope from that area. You see this refinery that we're talking about? The presidency, they know everything about those refineries. As long as whether, how will I put it? we are paying subsidy or no subsidy. As long as fuel is coming in, the president, they know what they are getting from for importing fuel. So the presidency cannot, if he wants to be sincere, he can build those refineries. But the president don't want to be sincere. Because the presidency, when they import fuel, there's an amount of money that comes to them. So, this country, I'm tired. I don't know what is going on. What does it take to build a refinery? You are removing subsidy. You don't want to build a refinery. So vandalize or no vandalize.
All right. Thank you so much, Victor. I think we have some messages on YouTube, and I think quite interesting message from our YouTube platform. All right. We have Campbell Louis, who is saying Adiola has forgotten that there's another government-controlled company called the Bulk Electricity Company of Nigeria that buys all the power generated by the GENCOs and resells to DISCOs. According to the World Bank and the UNDP, the standard for power is 1,000 megawatts for 1 million inhabitants. Akwa Ibom government generates about 200 megawatts of electricity from Ibom power plant at Ikot Abasi, which is sent to the national grid since 2017. The new law cannot change the situation on ground because geographical spaces have been attributed to various DISCOs. Lagos is divided between Ikeja and Eko electricity. I think I asked the same question before the show. What, Adela, what do you have to say to this quickly before we start taking more calls?
Okay. It's right by citing the
bulk electricity company that buys and sells to
yes.
But
the interesting part of it is that company was set up, to help the funding of the sector. And the reason is that any amount that you are paid as a bill for electricity will still need to be shared and get to the GENCOs.
Yeah.
Okay. So in most cases, the GENCOs have been indebted to a lot of running to billions of naira that they don't get. For that sector to be lucrative, for investors to want to come there, that was why the government set up the bulk electricity purchase company. Yeah. So and the company is being funded based on even international. They are getting international funding. Yeah. So that it becomes easy. The generator companies will not wait,
to get their money. Somebody buys it from them. They are sure of their money.
They are sure of their money. Because I cited the majority of them are Tamal. They are not the one producing the gas.
Yeah, they have to pay suppliers.
And the gas is being priced even at international. It is wise for a government to establish that company to take off
the pressure of finance
from the sector. So it is not contributing negatively to the power value chain.
But we also talked about the new law with existing DISCO arrangements in terms of the geographical space. But I think you somehow answered that look, there are still some an estate can decide that they are not dealing with Eco-Electric, for example, and generator. Or what do you think? Because I told you about the fact that look, distribution companies have been allocated with geographical spaces.
Yes.
So how does this new law affect that arrangement?
Okay, thank you very much. It's very, very important. Like I answered when we were talking behind the scene, exactly what happened during the Berlin conference, the compartmentalization of Africa, has happened to Nigeria. So the country as a whole has been divided into 11 catchment areas, and those people asset everything within that area below are the asset of
government.
Not government, distribution companies. 11 of them. For people in Lagos, is either you are under, you and your property under
IKDC or
ECO. So what that means is that as a matter of law, ECO cannot go into the catchment area of Ikeja. Ikeja cannot go into catchment area of Eko to supply electricity. If you are fortunate or unfortunate to fall under Ikeja, for instance, whether they have the capacity to supply you or not, you remain there. You cannot say that you are very close to Eko. There are instances in which some areas, even in Ogun State or the border town of Ogun State, want to leave Ibadan electricity distribution company, because Ibadan is the one supplying, the entire Ogun State and about 6 other states. So, and they are very close to Lagos, areas like Lafenwa, areas like, that area. They want to come to, Ikeja electricity, because Ikeja is very, very close to them, to be supplying. But they dare not do that without the consent of Ibadan Electric. So what this new law has just done is to give the governments of states and individuals the power, in collaboration with all these
existing arrangements,
to go ahead and supply.
All right, there's also another question here, but I think we also had a discussion on that before the show, not even today. Mr. Fuhad, this is coming from Solomon Asogba. The other question was from Campbell Lewis. Now, this is still on YouTube. He said, Mr. Fuhad, please, I think for the purpose of our understanding, let our distinguished guest talk briefly about how many liters of fuel a modular refinery will produce per day at the minimum. That's so that all different person supporters can begin to drive the right conversation. I think we talked about what we can get averagely from PMS from a liter of crude. I think we've said that a modular refinery that will cost $250 million will do 24,000 barrels per day. And I think when we did our conversation, you remember we're talking about 179 liters from one barrels of crude. 179 liters on the average from 1 barrels of crude. That's if we concentrate on PMS alone. So I think a very easy calculation would be 179 times 24,000 Abi?
Yes.
What do you think? Or do you have a different analysis to? Although you told me that, look, crude can produce different things. But would you want to answer Solomon Asogba?
Okay, thank you so much, Solomon Asogba. I think it's a very, very important question you have asked, because that will give us an idea
of what a modular refinery can do. Yeah.
There have even been talks about whether 445,000 barrels of crude is enough to supply the entire
local
Nigeria,
market.
The local market. Whether we still need to import, even if we are refining all the barrels that is allocated for us. Just like it has been cited, you can get an average of 179 liters of PMS from 1 barrels of crude. And what that will mean is that if you so deliberate in refining for PMS alone, so you will get other products, petrochemical, you get other ones, but it means you are eating up that crude oil to certain degree to get PMS, because in some instances it may be kerosene that you want to get. In some other instances it may be diesel that you want to eat up to get.
The focus, really.
So but if you are focusing on PMS, that is petrol, you get
around 179
liters
per barrel.
Per barrel.
All right, okay, we'll take just one last call, and then I think we'll just call it a day on the show. Yes, one last caller, 09136000410. Hello, good evening.
Hello?
Yes, good evening.
Hello, Mr. Fuhad. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
My name is Victor from Shomolu.
Victor, I know. How are you doing?
You have not been reading our WhatsApp line, please, sir. Maybe next week.
Okay, maybe from next week I start taking WhatsApp messages.
This man has spoken a lot of things. In fact, I don't know what to say. I am speechless.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm inside my car now, and I am bleeding. I am crying.
Yeah.
That we have wicked people in position of authority. They are too wicked. I'm telling you. I don't know what to do. But there are some things I may not want to say it on radio.
All right, Victor.
They may not
it's better. Don't say it on radio.
I can't. I know I can't.
God bless
you. I can't.
All right.
I'm telling you, I can't.
Thank you, Victor.
I don't know. But God, that man there,
Adiola Yusuf.
Genius. He's a genius. God will bless him for him. I remember that 30 years ago, I was on Yaba Bridge. I read on newspaper. It was during a Abacha period. I remember that time that Nigeria wants to import fuel. I don't know, maybe I may be wrong. For this young man, God will bless him.
All right, thank you.
And I pray that President Tinubu, I don't know.
Pray for him. And pray for
God
the country.
This man in your studio, God will bless him.
Amen. You too, sir.
All right, thank you, Victor.
God bless you too.
Amen. God bless you too. I think we can still take one more call. Let's just squeeze that in, and then we'll call it a day. Yes, just one more call. We'll make it very fast. 1 minute. Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, good evening. 1 minute, very fast.
God bless you. Talking from Oshodi.
Praise, right?
Yeah, so what's happened in Nigeria is that Nigerian leaders, they are Yahoo, from the governor to the president.
I don't like this last call. I really don't like
know they are Yahoo. They know how to.
I was hoping that we were going to get a call too. All right, but I did like so that will be the last call on the show this evening. But I want you to take a final take. Just talk to us generally about what you think can happen in the energy sector. If you were to have the opportunity to sit with the president, sit with him to advise him on what to do in terms of reforms, new strategies, new policies generally, and then ultimately the issue of palliatives. I don't like that word. You see that I've been running away from it because again I don't like what the definition says about the word palliatives. But if he's going to do anything again in the short term to cushion the effect of subsidy removal, what would you be telling him? Let's just do that quickly in 2 minutes so that we can be out of the studio, or maybe less than 1 minute, just 1 minute. Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that. The first one is that we are all expecting a ministerial list any moment.
Any moment from now.
Okay,
it has to come this week. We're hoping that to come this week.
So the president, it behoves on the president to be very choosy when it comes to whoever is
going to appoint
minister of
for petroleum
resources.
Should he take the position himself like the last one, like the last president?
I'm coming there for there are a lot of templates for him to just look critically into. We have had presidents, that sat on the seat as the,
Minister of Petroleum, yeah.
Were they able to succeed? If not, what led to them
that
not
failure?
Being successful? So he has a lot to do with that ministerial list when it comes to whoever becomes the Minister of Petroleum Resources and Minister of Power. That's number one. Then number two, the president should, as a matter of urgency, declare a state of emergency in a refinery.
In building, revamping, just
whether building, whether overhauling, let him declare a state of emergency. And what that will mean is that he will be getting updates from time to time, direct update on whatsoever should be done. I tell you, Fuhad, if we get the refineries right, Nigerians will smile. The pains, the agonies of this subsidy removal will not just be in vain.
All right, the pains and the agony of subsidy removal will not be in vain if we can get it right. The willpower to do the right thing is what is needed at this time. Well, this is where we call it a day on Political Roundtable Mainland 98.3 FM. My name is Saheed Fuhad, and I've been joined in the studio for the last 2 hours by Adeola Yusuf, who is the team lead Platforms Africa and an award-winning journalist. I think we've done quite a lot of justice to all of the issues around the energy sector in Nigeria. Again, we're hoping that the government will do the right thing. I wish everyone that has been part of the show well, and I wish you a blessed week ahead. We'll do this again next week.